gas gear acquisition syndrome for us guitarists. We're all prone to it, and some of us worse than others. Today we're going to have a chat about how we can turn our unbridled gear hoarding into gear that we actually want. But if this video is cool and you like it, please hit like and subscribe. Just hit 240 subs, so if we can get 10 more of you absolute legends to hit the sub button and get to 250, it's going to warm the cockles of my cold, dead heart. But anyway, this all started about 2 years ago, just randomly looking at Facebook Marketplace, randomly looking at sites like Artist Guitars in Australia, looking at their bargain bin and different stuff that popped up and thinking, oh, there's a hole in my rack for a Les Paul shaped object. It's not a Gibson and it's not a proper Les Paul, but it looks like a Les Paul, so oh yeah, it'll get close enough. And I did that over and over again with Telly shaped objects and Les Paul shaped objects and strats, basses, acoustics. And I got to the point where I was sitting on a lot of gear that filled food groups. So solid body humbucker, solid body single coil, solid body 3 single coils with a trem. For the most part, they were good instruments, but they weren't the real deal. And as much as we hate it sometimes, the brand name on the headstock does herald some sort of value. But today we're just gonna have a really brief chat about some of the gear that I'd bought along the way, which in turn I had sold, and then I turned cheaper guitars into 3 really nice ones that I'm super proud to own. Side note though, I am a gigging musician, so the guitars that I did get are to be gigged, but because of that too, the gigs that I do play, we do get a few pennies here and there. So between the guitars that I sold and the money that I got from gigs, that was all squirreled away into a gear purchase fund. So we're just going to keep that in mind. Predominantly though, the money that I did spend on these new guitars, if there was money to be adjusted to the seller of the instruments that I bought, it was primarily out of the gear that I sold. I only had to top up a few bucks here and there out of cash funds too. But anyway, the first guitar that I got, I've already done a video on this, so I'm going to link it here, and I'm just going to burn through this real quick because if you want to check it out, you can have a look at this one. I traded 4 guitars for one, and I humbly still think I came well the hell out in front on this one. The 4 guitars I traded, the first one was a kit guitar, ash-bodied Strat with GFS pickups in it, bone nut, CTS pots, orange drop caps, set up nice, played nice, looked great, kit guitar, so I had bugger all money in it. Second one was a ash-bodied Telecaster kit guitar, GFS rail pickups in it, push-pull pots, orange drop caps. Again, it's a kit guitar. It didn't really cost a hell of a lot at all. Third guitar was a Artist TC59 Telly style guitar. I picked up on sale for, I think it was like 169 or 189 Australian dollars. In America, that's probably like $4 or something. Really nice guitar, but I just threw it into the trade to sweeten it to get this other thing. Dual humbuckers, push-pull pots, weighs more than the center of the universe. So a lot of people complain about the weight of them, and they are correct. This thing is abnormally heavy. Sounds great, plays great though, but just sucks to carry on your neck. And then the fourth was a Aria Guitars Telecaster type thing. Came in pieces, so it was like a parts guitar that someone was trying to rebuild but never ended up getting around to doing it. So Aria neck, Aria body, had a weird yellow sort of tortoise pick guard, and 2 Epiphone Les Paul humbuckers that got stuck into it as well. I think I paid $100 for it. Like it was bugger all money. It took a couple hours to throw it all together, get it all soldered up, set up nicely, and that was thrown in as part of the deal as well. So for those keeping track at home, with the Aria and the Artist, we'll say we got $200 in that. With the 2 kit guitars, I got some of them on sale on birthday sales from the joint that did it. So if we say maybe, I don't know, $300 all in with materials and pickups and stuff for both of them, it'd be generous. So $500 all in over those 4 guitars. Like I said, no high ticket items in this bitch. It's just fucking cheap shit. So those 4 guitars got turned into this. It is a 1960s Yamaha SA50, hollow body, 2 single coils, noiseless single coils, and the Jazzmaster Soul Tram. For the most part, it's in good nick. I do think it needs a refret though, because It's got really short, narrow vintage style frets, where being a more modern guitarist, used to modern gear, I think I like the vintage jumbos a little bit better. So this thing is probably getting a refret sometime soon. Sounds incredible. Doesn't feed back very much for a hollow body. Pickups are noiseless, stays in tune. The trem stays in tune. And these things on the regular go for anywhere north of $1,500 in Australia on Facebook or Gumtree or Reverb. So I got a good deal. Now, number 2 and 3 are a little bit complicated because I don't really know what guitars I necessarily sold for what. I just sold a bunch of stuff. Start with is a Artist ST62 Strat type thing. I ended up modding it and sticking a Fender Blacktop humbucker in the bridge, and it was great. It sounded good. It was my live backup guitar for a long time, and it was nice, but it just didn't have that fancy F writing thing on the headstock. So out it went. The next guitar was another kit guitar. This time it was like an Ibanez RG 7-string clone. Had a marble type finish, Damasio pickups in it, coil tap, single volume, Floyd Rose. It was a 7-string with a Floyd Rose with Damasios in it. The thing was brutal. But I don't play metal anymore, so literally just sat on the rack getting no use at all. Other gear that I sold was a K-Line full drive clone, like a 2-in-1 overdrive boost. There was a Coral reverb. I can't remember what brand it even was. Just like one of the little mini compact multi reverb things. A Joyo American drive, the Joyo Oxford drive, 2 overdrive pedals, sort of like your Sansamp and clones. Sold a Joyo Bantamp Mesa Boogie head, the version 1 with only the 1 row of knobs on it. So that got flogged off as well. I had one of the little Nux Mighty Light desktop amps. That thing got flogged off too. Other guitars, there was a Cort MR710F. I didn't actually sell it. It was part of a trade with one of the other guitars that I'll show you in a sec. So that was bundled in, which was good. And there was an older Ibanez RG as well. I can't remember what model it was, but it was one of the ones that didn't have the floating trim on it. I think it was one of the really low end Ibanez's that again just never got used. And then throw in a few bucks here and there for gigs and that sort of stuff, and I ended up with these two. The first one that I ended up getting for, I think, what is probably a steal, $700 in Australia, is a 1988 MIJ Fender Strat. It's got a little bit of wear up the top here, but you know, it's an old guitar and it's a player. Rosewood fretboard, and it's got Seymour Duncan pickups throughout. I haven't actually taken the plate off to have a look to see what ones they are, but I'm led to believe they're the who's that dude from Iron Maiden? I haven't taken the plate off to have a look at it yet, but I'm led to believe it's the signature set for Old Mate from Iron Maiden. There's no coil taps in it, so this thing's probably going to be modded a little bit. There's still 250k pots in it from what the old owner told me, so just the original ones. The guitar plays really nicely, stays in tune good, trem's awesome, but it's a little bit dark sounding for what I want in a Strat. Obviously having rails and a JB Junior in the middle position, going to be more of a humbuckery tone than a single, but I think throwing 500k pots in it and push pulls will hopefully make it a little bit more versatile and make it come to life a little bit, because this thing plays like a freaking dream. $700 in Australia for a vintage Japanese Strat, like it's pretty good, and it came with the Fender hard case, the nice black ones, which is good. The next guitar is the one that I swapped the Cort for, the MR710F. I think they roughly go for about $600 in Australia brand new. This thing isn't brand new. I've had it for a couple of years, gigged it. It's set up really well. Like, the thing played awesome. As I get more senior in age and generous with my bodily proportions, fucking round, I like a guitar with a wider neck, and the Cort was relatively narrow. Also, I've got that Artist Parlor that I picked up recently that kicks ass. Live, it's a really fun guitar to play, and I've got a vintage Yamaha Dreadnought that sounds killer but doesn't have a pickup in it. So I put the Cort up for sale, and old mate reached out to me after I made an offer on this next guitar, offered him a price, and he came back and said, hey, I'll swap you the Cort and $600 for this. And this being, and I've teased it earlier, is my first Gibson. a Gibson, I think it's a 2020 Gibson SG tribute in poo brown. It does all the Gibson things. It's got humbuckers, plays great, sounds great, G-string stays in tune, rings out for years. It's a very light, very resonant guitar, and it's gonna have the absolute balls gigged out of it. So in between the telly that I've got and then these are going to be my main two gigging guitars. Everything else is going to be fun or studios or sometimes live. But I think having the telly and also the SG will cover light, really playable, sounds great, and it covers the single coils and covers the humbuckers, and it's not going to feed back, and it's not going to be temperamental and fragile like a hollow body. So I'm not going to have to fuck around with trems either. So that's a big plus. But anyway, they are the new guitars that I ended up picking up after I flogged off a bunch of crap that I wasn't using and then putting money from gigs towards them as well. So my advice and my takeaway from all this is, if you've accumulated crap that you're not using, it might look cool sitting on a wall, but it's not actually doing anything productive. I want you to consider selling it. And I also want you to consider what you'd actually buy if you had that available money. Things that you wouldn't necessarily be able to afford as a one-off purchase, just going out and doing it. But if you sold stuff incrementally, it might take you 12 months. In this case, it took me 18 months to do all this. I come to the point where 18 months ago, I decided what I wanted, and then I made inroads to make that happen. Have a think about what you want to buy, and then start a savings account or start a piggy bank and sell shit that you don't use. The money that you get from bar gigs, throw that in the piggy bank, providing obviously that's not your full-time employment. Luckily for me, it isn't. And yeah, just work towards chipping away little by little and get yourself into the gear that you actually want and that you're proud to own and that you look at with, you know, pride and affection. But anyway, that was just me just showing off the new shit that I bought. If you've bought cool stuff in the last 12 months, or you've had killer deals come up, you flipped a guitar for something else and it was just an absolute steal, let me know down below, because I want to know. I love this sort of stuff. But yeah, like and subscribe, leave a comment, say hi to your mum, give her a hug, tell her you love her. Peace out.